Hello and welcome. In this presentation, I will talk about a few examples of globalization in computer and electronic industry. Alright, we'll see some firms that are expanding globally, a number of factors that contribute to such globalization, common patterns, and answer the question, are they reducing their global operations? Or let's talk about globally expanding firms, companies, and organizations. First, we see Apple, very familiar name. Apple is a company that designs, manufactures, and markets smartphones, personal computers, tablets, wearables, and accessories, and sells a variety of related services. Their products include iPhone, Mac, iPad, and so on. And the company reports sales coming from the Americas, Europe, Greater China, Japan, and rest of Asia Pacific. Alright, take a look at the mergers and acquisitions. The following are non-US mergers and acquisitions associated with Apple in the last 2 years. We have Voices from Ireland, Mobivoi from Canada, A Camera Eye from Israel, Curious Eye from Finland, and Primephonic from Netherlands. Well, let's talk about their presence and strategy globally. So US is still Apple's biggest market, and then Europe. While in Western markets like US, Europe, Apple has reached saturation point and sees very few first-time buyers. China, on the other hand, seems like a lucrative market because in the country, Apple can make high-end products at low cost and see a large amount of users due to its population. This point is very important. We'll talk about it later on. Still, we have to keep in mind that China is not an all-easy market due to its US-China trade war. The trade war has imposed heavy tariffs on Chinese imports, meaning Apple could pay tariffs from importing its own products produced in China. So India is also an attractive site because it is among the world's fastest growing economies. However, high-spec budget phones from Samsung and Huawei are strong competitors from Apple in India because Apple products are priced higher. Free services are also in favor for most of the Indian population, which also poses a challenge for Apple. Well, let's move on to Samsung. Samsung or Samsung Electronics Co. Ltd. is a multi-industry company headquartered in Korea with 237 subsidiaries across the world, multiple regional headquarters for divisions and subsidiaries. The company's key products and divisions are consumer electronics, information technology, and mobile communications, device solutions, and hardware. Let's talk about the mergers and acquisitions. In 2019, Samsung Electronics Benelux acquired shares of Core Photonics Ltd. from Israel, and Samsung Investments Co. Ltd. from China merged with Samsung Electronics Beijing Service Company Limited. In the first half of 2021, Samsung Research America merged with Viv Labs Incorporated in the US. For Samsung Global and Presence and Strategy, Samsung Global Network as of December 2020 consists of around 268,000 working employees, has more than 230 bases, and spreads across 74 countries. The global strategy is economies by location choice. For example, China and Vietnam for cheap labor cost suppliers from the Asian market, Poland for manufacturing for the European market since there is a good compromise between labor costs and sufficient know-how. Homeland from which is the US for R&D thanks to competent local employees and good economies of tax. Well, let's move on to Intel. Intel manufactures chip and hardware chipsets, circuits, and controllers and processors for autonomous driving, 5G network, client connectivity, cloud computing, Internet of Things, client computing, and AI and analytics. Intel has manufacturing and assembly test sites around the world. For example, USA, Ireland, Israel, China, Malaysia, Vietnam, Costa Rica, and Philippines. Alright, let's take a look at their mergers and acquisitions. These are non-US mergers and acquisitions associated with Intel Corporation in the last 2 years. We have Moveit from Israel, Remote My App from Poland, and Srinovate from Israel. Well, let's take a look at their global presence. Well, Intel around the world has 9 sites in Greater Americas, 3 sites in Europe and the Middle East, 4 sites in in Asia, and major R&D takes place in Greater Americas and Israel, while assembly, tests, and sales can be seen in other sites. Intel global strategy. The global strategy is to deliver the world's best semiconductors for an increasingly data-centric world, and these are their priorities. Accelerate growth, improving execution, deploying capital in which they invest in companies around the world that will help reach the objectives set. Evolving culture. Well, let's see their common patterns. Alright, so everyone has operations around the world and wants to keep their lead in global markets. These companies expand operations to developing countries for reduced labor costs, while research and development or R&D primarily take place in homeland and developed countries. We can see that global operations are still ongoing. So 2020 and 2021 mergers and acquisitions also second this point, as we could see. Right, so all are affected by COVID-19, however, witness positive financial effects in select industries or departments. For example, Internet of Things Group from Intel and Mobileye, which is about driving assistance and self-driving solutions, suffered. However, working and learning from home trends drove strong notebook platform demand. Concerns raised in working conditions and internet security from Intel employees working remotely, and also an issue about higher logistic expenses. Samsung witnessed the similar, so they witnessed demands for GPUs, mobile devices, and TVs rose, while mobile production came to a halt. For Apple saw more minuses and pluses, concerns in low content production and high content costs since Apple produces their own digital content. Health, logistics, event sales concerns because it's COVID-19. Right, so are they reducing their global operations? Well, short answer is no. With their recent mergers and acquisitions, we can see that these companies are not reducing their global operations. COVID-19 has caused some stagnation in many aspects, and so has the effects of US-China trade war on Apple specifically. While technological needs like notebooks, laptops, phones, TVs are high, which creates more financial opportunities for computer and tech companies. Competition does not seem to have changed, and companies need to have plans and strategies to continue in the post-pandemic era. And these are the references used in the making of these slides. Alright, and that has been my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.